see, get my lighting, you know, 'cause I ain't, you know, it's kind of, I'm doing this at night, 'cause I feel like it. Um, so yeah, here's another entry of what I've been trying to do, little blog time, you know, while I'm doing my journey through comedy and life, and yeah, so here's an update. I've been doing some open mics. Some have been good, some have not been good. But it's not really about. It's about for me. For me, it's about progress. Um, there was there was an open mic that I went to um, in Lexington, and it's primarily an open mic for poetry. And I went there, but it's not necessarily. It's not. It's mostly for poetry, but anybody else can be. Anybody else can do it. You know, comedians, singers, things of that nature. And I went in as a comedian. Um, I've been to it before, but it was called another name, and you know, it was, you know, and I did a poem when I was there the first time. Later on in life, I decided to do comedy. Um, the place is cool, you know. I do notice some tropes. Like one of the biggest tropes is that some people, after you know, they do their poetry, and after they go and do their poetry, they leave. And it costs money to go in there and participate or watch. So it's kind of like I wish some of them folks would wait, or not wait, but you know, stay. You know, even if for a little bit, but stay. And another trope. It was one trope that I caught and it upset. Set I was upset by it, which was there was one person who went up, or he was wanting to go up, and he went to the host and they said, if I don't go up, I'm gonna leave. In my head, I was like, if you're gonna leave, then leave. You know, I don't know if you're gonna get your money back or things of that nature. You paid to get in here, you know. So you go when they go up. I've been up there, and like I've waited and I waited. Last time I was up there, I was like maybe fourth or fifth to last, and I did my thing. I took that energy that made me upset that night and turned it around and transformed it, and I made it into put it into a good set. Um, so yeah, that night I um, saw an old friend. I knew them in college. I knew that they did poetry. I knew that they rapped, and I know that they do production, like musically. You know, so you know, I heard that name. I'm like, oh, all right. Let's see what they're saying. You know, they did their thing. You know, I think they went up and they didn't use any notes. I don't think they used paper or their phone, but it is what it is. So yeah, you know, cause some people they can do that. Kudos to them. And let me fix this polo. And I'll take his seatbelt off. I ain't going anywhere right now. And this, you know, I'm parked. Let me check if these doors are locked too, cause some people may try to sneak in. All right, so yeah, you know, yeah, so um, he went up after the mic was over. I went up to him, you know, say my hellos and try to do some catch up. And you know, he was like, I didn't know you do comedy. He basically said I didn't do like he's like I didn't know you didn't do comedy when we was in college. I'm like nope. And I was trying to tell him, I'm like trying to tell him I started, and I try to tell him how it started and things like that. But I was interrupted twice that night. I was talking to him, and a few people, like one person came up, da 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 da, and then I tried to tell him, you know, and then another person interrupted, and da da da. I was like, and that made me, and that's to me that's stupid, rude, very rude, stupid, rude, very rude. Cause a part of me didn't. I wish I was assertive that evening because there was some bull crap going on, and I should have spoke up. But and I got, I need to learn some lessons from about that. Uh, but I should say, hey, can you please wait? I'm speaking with this person, even if he wasn't interested in the conversation. Um, and I'll get to that later. Yeah, the first time I tried, talk with him, he told me that he keeps up with a few people from college, basically, and he mentioned their names, and I was like, and in my head I was like, oh, if to me it was like it figures because to me he ran with the same crowd to me. That's why I would say, I could have ran with that crowd. But hindsight, I believe I would have been the jester. I would not. To me, I would have not had the same charisma as they would have. I was off on my own, and that was me. That was me, and that's me now. It's like saying I haven't found my tribe or things like that, and maybe that something to think about. Maybe I'm kind of destined to be, doing my own thing, being off of my own. But at the same time, it wasn't hurt to have, some folks tight knit who I can communicate with. And it doesn't matter what walks of life we come from. It's just that, hey, you doing this, I'm doing this, but we can communicate without any um, feelings that we have to be a clique and things like that. Because I really hate people clicking up, making people feel segregated, and I hate people trying to be in this bubble. I'm like, there's so much going on out there for folks to try to make it feel like they're in a bubble. I'll get some air in here. There we go. But yeah, that happened, and I really, listened, and I, reflected on it while I was driving and going home, getting gas, going home, and things like that. I really reflected on it because throughout the years, the communication, I communicate with a few folks and things of that nature. We know who we communicate. We know who we're going to be tied, and I think it was we grew apart. People grow apart, and me and this person, we shared some of the same things. We rapped, did poetry, and made beats. Well, I used to make beats. I lost my love for it. And I lost my love for rapping too and doing poetry. I can still do it. Well, do poetry. Probably one of the wackest rappers. Oh my goodness. To me, I'll be critiquing rappers like, man, he don't have any bars. This dude don't have any lyrics, and here I am. I'm like, man, I don't even put a lyric out. Well, my lyrics are trash. They didn't make any sense. I ain't gonna do nothing until my lyrics make sense. But yeah, and I really would say the last time I saw him, I gave him these items for his, I guess for a studio. Just trying to help him out. But as far as like communicating with him in general, it probably would. It'll probably be tough for him. He'll have to try. I think some folks will have to try to communicate with me. I don't even know what it is about me, but I just want, to me, I'm just want to talk. I may talk too much, but I just want to talk. Yeah, I'm not looking at the camera like I should. Maybe because it's how my mind is. I don't know. I have that issue, but yeah, losing touch. I guess that happened. With some of the people that we used to be around. I think it happens. Um, you know, Sometimes it's no hard feelings. Sometimes it is, and I guess it's something that we have to learn to deal with in life. So that's me with that. But yeah, but I'll get back to the performance. Uh, it was good that night. It was good. Uh, I made people laugh. One lady said, "Oh, you funny," and I had a few hiccups. There's one joke that I do. I like doing it because I, people are thrown off on one word, and maybe it's because the joke is. I even said that on stage that this is a bad joke. I even said it on stage. And the reason why I said that on stage is because the reason why I said that is because I did it before at a bar when there was an open mic, and one dude got it, and he was explaining it to everyone else. And part of me, I do not want to dumb that joke down. Even if it's bad, I would not want to dumb that joke down. I've done it. I've done an alternate one because I shared it with this couple. I did this alternate one, and it was dark. Yet at the same time, I would not want to change that joke. You know, but it was fun. It was fun, and the reason why I want to go to this venue is because it's dominantly black people there, dominantly black people, and I want to do comedy in front of black audiences. I want to do comedy in front of all audiences. Um, I feel like black audiences really let people know whether or not they're good or not, whether or not they're funny. Cause they're gonna let you know like, hey, this is working and this ain't working. This is working, or they may say, bless your heart. I've been booed before in the front of a black crowd. Well, by one person, and hey, it was an open mic, but at the same time, like, all right, I took it, but what I did with it was turn it around and made some new things, new sets, transform things, develop, things about it is like, thing about it is if I get heckled or if I get booed or I don't have a good set or whatever, my performances is off whenever I bomb. It's a way of life, and I'd rather have those moments, even though it is ego crushing, even though my confidence dies. I'd rather have those moments because I could, it's like I have to go back to the drawing board and do, either come back better or something else. And I really personally don't want it to be the something else. So yeah, um, so that's about it. So that's I gotta say about that part. But yeah, I love doing comedy over there, and I did comedy on a Thursday at a usual venue, and I was trash. Not that I was trash because not only because my performance was trash, it was just that the audience threw me off too. And I shouldn't blame the audience. I shouldn't. But I kind of got that I wasn't gonna, and I felt like I had to please somebody, and they're a performer, and I'm like, I ain't trying to please that performer because that performer ain't been doing it as long as I have. and that's shouldn't be my ego talking, but and also it's like don't I'm not the type to think that I'm good and folks should praise me and things of that nature, and I don't have to feel like I have to prove myself to be funny to people, especially to those who what they can't relate to me, or they feel like I have to be a certain type of person for me to be funny. I'm like, forget that mess. I just gotta be. I just have to be myself, you know. And that's what I love getting. That's what I love expressing. I did a joke at the venue on the Tuesday, which was in front of the black audience, and I was talking about how there have been people who said I wasn't black enough, and I did that set, did a few jokes with that, and it worked. That's all I needed. All what I can do is hopefully the phone recorded the vocals of it, and I can just take that and I can just write from there, because I could tell it was hitting, because after I hit one um, joke or one statement, I chuckled within myself, because it hit. It hit. The light was on. I'm like, I'm glad. I'm glad it hit. Because the whole thing about being black for me, I actually took that from an area of pain, um, where I talked about, you know, not meeting people's expectations and things of that nature. Whether or not I wasn't black enough, or whether or not I wasn't smart enough, or whether or not I didn't carry myself in a manner that they will approve, things of that nature. And hopefully this thing is on still. I'm still seeing the flash. I'm glad. But anyway, um, yeah, and it's coming from this spirit crushing feeling. My emotions are affected by that. Where I'm like, you know, it's like going cry in the car, like, why can't they accept me, for, why don't they accept me for who I am? And growing, like, later on, getting older, I'm like, alright, they just don't accept me for who I am. Okay. you know they need to stick with who they stick to. You know what I'm saying? Find their particular folks. I can't be who they, what I'm saying. That's, my identity is not for them. My identity, since I follow Jesus, my identity is found in Christ. You know, so that's why I have to keep that. I was quoting a Lecrae song. Oh man, and I know where it came from too, which album it came from. But yeah, my identity must be found in Him, you know, and not be found in these folks who I feel like the expectancy of the friendship or communication is fickle, you know, with some of these folks. So yeah, that happened, and so yeah, so open mic Tuesday was good. Open mic on Thursday was not so good. And then I did an open mic on Friday, which was cool. And but I was up against a lot. I feel like, you know, like I said, some people you gotta, feel like you gotta be something in order to have their attention. I'm like, I ain't trying to do that mess. Yeah. Uh, what else I was gonna talk about? It came to my head and I forgot. Oh, I was at a Bible study and I talked about how I forgave two people, or not forgave, but I apologized to two people, to two individuals. And the reason why I did it is because I was feeling, I was holding a grudge against these folks. That's what it was. And it was messing, like, I wanted to stay in that, like, cause I wanted a vindication, or I wanted to, basically I wanted to check them. And here's what happened. One morning I went to church, and I was late. I've been going late, like, consistently. I don't, that was me. And one morning, and I walked in the first door, and I walked in the second door, and and they looked at me like, who is this? Like, what is he doing? Like, what is he doing? They looked at me like I was like, and I knew one of them. And that's the thing, I knew one of them. So I was like, and later on, I was like, should I go up to say, is there a problem? But what I did was I went on Facebook and shared what happened, and I was like basically saying, let me find out they got an issue with me and we can talk about it. That's what I said. One of the church leaders saw that and they was basically asking me like, who was it and everything else. And I really wanted to say, mind your business, but politely. But I believe I said, I don't know what I said, but I said, I don't know. I said I may have said I got it. I don't know what I said, but it was to the point of basically saying you can relax, because it really had nothing to do with that leader. It really didn't. It has everything to do with me and the two individuals. And the reason why I say is because, like I said, one of them I knew, and they was always friendly. The other I didn't know, because you know we come from two different places. That's what I'll say about that. And for the longest time, I was walk past where they were, which is like the front desk, and I'd be like, I don't want to deal with these folks. That's what I was. I see them cross. We would cross paths. I may say hi, I may not, but I was like, I don't want to see you, or I don't want to deal with you, because I had the attitude that they had an attitude, if that makes sense. My attitude with them was that they had an attitude with me. Like, I go to this church. I'm part of the church body, no matter where I am. What's with me? That's making it like, what are you doing here? That's what I was thinking in my head. So I was having a problem. That was my problem, and that was the thing. It was my problem. So the Sunday when I apologized, before that, I walked in, I saw them, I was like, oh shoot, here we go again. Oh shoot, I gotta deal with them. The one dude who was, friendly to me a while ago, he was talking to me, and I just kept on going. I was trying to say hi, whatever. He asked me about the comment, and I was like, it's going, and that's it. So what happened was, while I was walking to where I was going to sit down and, sit down, someone was like, what if you apologize? What if you apologize? What if you say you're sorry? And I was, you know, going back and forth about that. And I did finally, cause I was out, I was going in and out of the building, well, not the building, but up from the room to the hall and things of that nature, because I wanted to catch both of them at the same time. So finally, I saw both of them at the desk. I walked up to them and I was like, I didn't share why, but I apologized for being a trash to them, being a jerk to them, because I was standoffish and I didn't want to speak and things of that nature. And that was me. And finally, the one dude asked me, the one dude who knew me for a while, he asked me, like when's the next place you gonna do comedy, or you want basically ask if he can see me. I see me do comedy. I was like, no. I just said no. The reason why I said no and I explained it is because there are places that I would not want him or some of them people at, well, most of the people at church, I would not want them to be there because it feels dark. It seems dark, or there's um there's places that we perform comedy where it may trigger a habit. I would say that. I don't know where some of them church folk been, the lives that they went, because I know some, like I said, some of them places are bars and things of that nature. I would rather them see me at a place for comedy instead of just some random bar and things like that where drinks is being sold and and consumed and things of that nature. Um, I'd rather be somewhere where it's kind of in a neutral background, something like that. I do not want them to be in a place where I don't like, you know, and I'm following Jesus and I'm telling them like, hey, I don't want you here, and it's not because of me being, bougie or whatever. It's more like saying I would rather keep you away from some things, um, and not to say that comedians are bad or the places like the bars and places are bad. It's more of um, am I protecting? I guess so. Is it their choice? Yes. Um, but I really would, like if I was ever blessed to do a show at that church as a comedian, I would do it. I would definitely have to write some new material because um, it's not for the sensitive people. I would say, you know, I say sensitive, but it's more like it's like because I would really think. Let's break from that. Let's go to go to to another trail with that. I believe with some of the thing, if I did comedy for a church, I believe there will be people who would want me to say certain things that will appeal to them. And this not only goes for the church I go to, but also for the folks back in college too. I think they would want me to be their comedian, you know, and I'll be like, so how about you write my jokes? How about you write the jokes for me to recite to you to make you laugh? That would be, and I'm 100% saying no to that. I'm going to do the comedy that I wrote and that I practiced and did things of that nature. So yeah, if I do the comedy, blessed to do the comedy at the church, I would write new material, but I would be myself. But it would be something where it will be me. It definitely will be me. Yet it's gonna be, yeah. They gonna see Brandon McNeil as the comedian, you know, and I'll talk about what I talk about. Only people who would tell me what not to talk about, I guess, they'll give me the topics. I guess it would be the church leaders. Like you can't say something about this, say something about that, say something about that. But I am definitely gonna say some stuff. Like for example, I will talk about how there are folks who want to basically be cliquish in the church and as far as the church body too. That's what I'll say something about that. I'll say something about like the legalism that goes on. Not to say we should be liberal. I'm not saying we should be conservative. Not saying that we should be liberal. Liberal. I was just saying like, hey, I follow Jesus. I follow Jesus, and Jesus will guide me through the Holy Spirit on how I should move in life. And it's for me to choose to have to accept it. That would be me. And I'll talk about some things that yeah, I'll talk about some stuff. Where I need to stop, I guess. So I don't know, but yeah, I told the dude, um, I would rather them see me perform in a place where it's okay, where the temptations and all the other stuff is minimal or not there. And I basically told him, oh, I'll let you know. That's what I said. I'm not guaranteed to ask Comedy Off Broadway to do an open mic, to be a part of an open mic anytime soon. But if there's an option, if there's an opening later on in the rest of the year, I would do it. Cause I need to get my reps up. And at Comedy Off Broadway, I would not want to do. Um, I would not want to do these open mics just because to get the attention of the manager or the people who are higher up, and just to be like not pandering, but saying, hey, I'm the next big thing, and just try to give my best just to get their attention. I don't want to do that. I just want to tell jokes and make people laugh, or say things that make people laugh, but do it in the way I would like to do it. That's what my thing is. I should take these Tums because I've been having heartburn. Should I say Tums, or should I just say I should take these? I should take these antacids. Don't do any product placement. Oh my goodness. So I talked about this open mic I did, seeing an old friend, or then I talked about how I apologized to two people. I will say my spirit felt better after I apologized. And I believe this is the beginning, because there's a lot of things, or there's a lot of people I need to apologize to for my actions. Whether I did something, or whether there was a disagreement or some sort of miscommunication. So yeah. Alright, so I think I'm done. It is late. Well, it's late for me now. I would have been out here when I was younger. Like, I would be staying the night. Be outside or inside, all the night out. I used to do crazy stuff like walk outside, like the college campus I went to, and just walk at night, not knowing if there was something going to grab me or somebody was going to hurt me. Just go out and do, that was just me. And I may, next time, if I do it at night, I may do this type of thing, but out in the open. Hopefully there'll be no people around. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully this thing ain't that long. I want to try to cut it up and edit it to where it's acceptable. That's about it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Alright.